Okay, normally I'm making sort of videos talking about, building presets and all that sort of thing, but I think we maybe sometimes need to think about strategy when it comes to planning our presets and how we're going to use them, and potentially how you're going to use them live. This is what I'm thinking about in this video specifically, because I've got a friend who was gigging the FM3 for about a year and kind of said to me, I think I've got two presets, but they're in different places and I need to be able to get to this sound and then this sound, so I'm finding it a bit confusing. And I wanted to just talk about my approach to this. I've done sort of videos talking about layouts, but I wanted to really explicitly just describe how it is that I use the FM9 or the FM3 for live stuff. So let's jump into that. Here you'll see me using a bit of a live preset with some different sounds and stuff that I would use on a gig. We'll get into this on Fractal FM edit, but first of all, here's the basic principle. So I have 3 foot switches here, which are basically the bedrock of my switching setup, because I can do this on FM3 or FM9. So the basics of this have to work with the FM3, which obviously just has 3 foot switches. So I run in scenes mode, but a specific version of scenes mode, which is my own sort of thing, I've tailored to be able to get to each of these snapshots with just the 3 foot switches. So this button here I dedicate to clean sounds. This is the case across all of my modelers, but specifically with Fractal you'll see why this makes sense. So the first scene on this button is clean. The second scene is actually clean with a dotted delay. Okay, on this button here I have my drive tones basically, so like if you're doing rhythm tones, so say you were playing Teenage Dirtbag or Simply the Best, kind of your chunkier sort of gained up tones. So for me I use the Dumble HRM in here based on Cliff's actual amp. If I press that button again, so each of these are in toggle mode, so you can toggle between clean, clean with delay, rhythm, rhythm with delay, then I get rhythm with delay. So that's already 4 with just these 2 foot switches. Then this one here, if I press that, I get my solo tone, and if I press it again, I get a slightly modified solo tone. Now here's where you can start to get a bit creative with this. So the idea really is, if you long hold this one or this one, you can actually get like a few specialty type sounds. So because we've got 8 scenes, the way I like to set it up is that I've basically got 2 song specific ones. I think this one was maybe what you heard me playing in the intro. If I long hold it, I get like this clean tone, which is sort of more affected for juice or taste. And likewise, there's a song in this set that I was playing where you needed a specific sort of sound with a delay, and that one went under here just because I can't do lots of long holds. So that's how I have that set up. I'll jump into FM9 and set that up. And all of this stuff over here is a little bit more like sprinkle it on for good measure, because I can literally do a gig with just those 3 buttons. So we'll jump into FM9 edit now. So the idea really is this one here, I'm going to have rhythm tones, chunky drive tones. This one here, drive tones but with a boost so that I can take a solo with it. This one here, clean tones. That's the basic principle. Okay, so let's just, if you look at it on the face of it, as I say, these are basically my setup here, and you can see you've got 8 scenes. Now, to sort this out, we need to really go into FC Edit, and we've got a few layouts. So this is my specific layout that I've got here. So get familiar with this. As I say, this side of the page here is really sort of a different thing, and I can sprinkle this stuff in. We'll get into that towards the end of the video, but here is the real kind of meat and potatoes of what's going on. So as I say, scene 1 is going to be rhythm tones. So scene, function, toggle, primary scene, secondary scene 6. So you look at the scenes, primary is 1, rhythm, secondary is 6, rhythm with delay. That's really straightforward. So as I press that button, toggles between 1 and 6. Over here, we're toggling between 3 and 4, clean and clean wet, or clean with delay. Okay. As I said earlier, I set it up this way because I specifically don't want to have to read the toggles. My eyes are not great. But I set it up so it physically, these things are going to be very memorable. And then if I press this one here, we've got lead or alt lead, and those are quite similar. Now here's the other thing. If you've got 2 other sounds that are like gig specific, I'll just run you through these actually. So I've got my solo tone, my clean with delay, chunky rhythm with delay. Okay, and then if I long hold 1, you see I get juice. That thing. And if I long hold 3, I get taste. Okay, so those are 2 specific like things that might only be for, you know, a couple of songs, but it means that you've got access to those things even within this one preset. I can basically cover an entire gig with it. The other thing that's going on really, so again, just to really hammer it home, you could color these things if you wanted to, just something that makes sense to you. I mean, like orange, maybe green for cleans. And however you want to do that, so you can see what's on, etc. And likewise, you could color, you know, these bits and pieces. So maybe green for delay, orange for drive, blue over here for chorus, phaser, I don't know, pink. And then over here, I've actually got a per preset override, which is more complicated. I've done that in a different video. But here, basically, you've got this idea. So just turning on or off an effect, on or off a delay, on or off a drive. Here is where you can get a bit more clever with this. So if you want to, so for instance, I realized that sometimes I might want a chorus and a flanger, or a flanger, either or. You can use this hold function like we did to get an additional scene here. So category, scene on your hold, and then choose the one. you can just go, okay, hold effect, I want to select the flanger, or whatever you want to, do. You can change this either on the layout here, so that my global layout here, like scenes JC, has chorus and flanger, or you can override on the preset. So to do that, we go foot control per preset, and then, find one that's not been used yet. And here you can see per preset 11, category effect. So I could change the color of this. So what are we doing? We're doing pitch and multi-delay. So this, for example, if I long hold, I get the multi-delay. So it's like a really ambient. So what color could we give that? Let's do that yellow. So yeah, you change whatever effect you want to be controlled by, first of all, the normal tap, and then your hold. It's really, really, really clever stuff. And you could, of course, do that either at a global level, or you could do that at a preset level. So you go to foot control per preset to do that and control that that way. I think it's incredibly powerful stuff, but I think it really makes sense to have a strategy that you're going to follow so that your presets basically are foolproof to you and that you've got a system behind it. So as I say, for me, that is my system. Drive, solo, clean. And then this stuff, is additional control sort of in between sounds, maybe some effects. But the basic principle is very straightforward. Let me know your foot switching strategy in the comments. I know Leon has done videos on how he uses the FM3 and FM9 live. I'm sure those are slightly different. But this is just how I do things, as I've got to cover a lot of different sounds over a 2-hour sort of function gig, or a lot of different, circumstances. I have this kind of more generic approach where I know exactly what's under each foot switch, basically. This preset I'll drop into the folder, into the Gumroad folder if you want to check it out. I'm using a telly for this one. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers to G66 UK.